Hey everybody! I know, it's been a while, but today I'm going to talk to you today about the fifth grade. Now, the fifth grade was really big, and it is kind of a sad story, really. Um, I dedicate this video to Mr. Mr. Jim Owens. God rest his soul. Um, so it's gonna be a little less about fifth grade, more about this man. When I got to the fifth grade, I went to a new school, and we wore uniforms this, that, and third. And the fifth grade was kind of cool. This is when I realized I started liking boys more, and I had more an attraction to them. Like I always stared at them. And this is when I used to really get bullied by this young man named James. And even though he looked like a rat, and I was always taller, but I was kind of, I didn't have, I didn't really have that big of a strong male influence, so therefore I was like, I was very introverted as a child. And I used to come home crying every day because of this little Mexican boy. And I also, in the fifth grade, was when I got into my first fight with this little boy named Jafet. I was trying to help him out with his own problems, but he turned on me, and I pushed his face into the weeds, and he was all scratched up and things of that nature. Also, I think that's when I developed my first crush on a boy, but I just never said anything. I always wanted to get to know him. Corey. He won't find this video on Facebook, or maybe he will. I don't know. Doesn't matter now. Corey is now he's doing big things for himself. He graduated from USC on the track team. He's pretty famous if you haven't seen him. But yeah, I'm not gonna give out his last name. But most importantly, there's Mr. Owens. Mr. Owens lived not too far from where I did with my mother and my grandmother. And Mr. Owens had a wife, but they were always estranged. And my grandmother's church and his church always kind of did a lot of stuff together, and there was always talk of him being gay. And I always kind of thought it was funny because he was always kind of a little flamboyant, but I just thought, maybe that's what you do when you're an older black man. I don't know. I couldn't judge. I was in fifth grade. So, he got extra excited when it came to the fifth grade hoedown and taught us all how to do the electric slide and the tush push and all this other good stuff. And I enjoyed him. Like I was like his prize student. I did get in trouble once where he wrote my name on the board, but that's because I was getting, harassed by James, who had to always sit in the corner. And the sad thing was he was not ESL student. He was special needs student. He was a special education. But fifth grade, I science class with Miss Caselli. I enjoyed her. I loved her a lot. Even though she looked like Barbara Streisand, and it was so cool how she came to my middle school graduation. But it is what it is. Miss Caselli, I don't know what happened to her, but Mr. Owens died. Died of AIDS, actually. Mr. Owens was indeed fact a homosexual, and he lived a double life. I came to find that out later in life, and you could see him after he retired. He was like deteriorating, and he looked for like a kind of a chubby man, but he was still okay. But he went to just bone thin and had no hair and was gray and no time. And this is how I really don't like. I don't care for men on the DL. I understand, being on the DL meaning just being discreet about it. Okay, that's one thing. But living a double life and not using the ample protection that you should use when engaging in sex with another person, that's when it becomes a problem. But yes, he was in fact gay. And I guess that was one of my first few encounters with an adult gay male, which I just kind of figured later on that he was, after I moved off of this class. And my grandmother always used to say, oh, he's sweeter than July Jam, and blah, blah, blah. So that was always inbred in my head that, okay, well, maybe sweet is not necessarily a good thing. Even though my grandmother had a gay friend, and she was kind of a hag, but Mr. Hartley, he died of HIV and AIDS too. But that is what it is. But Mr. Owens, you were a great teacher with grade. Clearly, I remember you and your curl, even though your curl didn't just never curled all the way. But anyway, Mr. Owens, God bless you.